So I don't know about you guys, but I have never once seen a rabbit in attendance at a baseball game. That was definitely a first. This was during the Giants versus Marlins game. So let me know in the comment section down below, what is the weirdest thing you have ever seen while in attendance at any sporting event? But anyways, what's going on, everyone? It's Fuzzy. Welcome back to yet another MLB recap. I don't even have an intro for today, so we're just going to go ahead and talk about Mike Trout getting hit in the elbow. And everyone in Houston is angry at Mike Trout because they are saying he did it intentionally. So I'm going to go ahead and show the clip right now. We're going to do it in slow motion. At first glance, I watched this and I thought, oh my gosh, Mike Trout actually did stick his elbow out. But fortunately for us, Mike Trout was mic'd up in yesterday's game, and he said this.
Yeah. Dude, I thought it was a slider, dude.
Oh, really?
Dude, I can't pick up the ball here, though.
His stuff looks like that, too. I faced him in live.
Yeah. Hey, if I have a pad, bro.
So considering we're talking about Mike Trout, probably the greatest player of our generation, if you don't believe me, look at this picture right here and compare him to Willie Mays and Ken Griffey Jr. He has been better than all of them. So yeah, take that with a grain of salt. I don't think that Mike Trout did it intentionally. And I've heard from other players that it is really hard to pick up the baseball in Minute Maid Park. So maybe he thought the slider was going to cut inside the strike zone, and instead it was a fastball. He got hit. I'm willing to take the side of the GOAT, Mike Trout. So the city of Houston, do not get mad at Mike Trout. Either way, the Astros completely dominated the Angels yesterday. The final score was 8-2. I mean, if you look at the box score, again, the Astros dominated. Alex Cobb was torched by the Astros lineup as Christian Javier turned in his best start of 2021, going 5 innings, did not allow a single earned run, and had 9 strikeouts. Carlos Correa and Alex Bregman, they drove in 5 RBIs total. So even if Mike Trout did do that purposely, I don't think that was the case. It didn't even matter. Now, moving on over to the Diamondbacks versus Reds game. There was some history made yesterday. So David Peralta had the game of his life, going 5 for 6 with 7 RBIs, and then Carson Kelly homered in the 10th, and that was the first time in Major League Baseball history in which a team hit 6 home runs and their starting pitcher allowed 2 runs or less. Talking about the Cincinnati Reds, and they lost that ball game. The first team to ever do that. 6 home runs, your starter doesn't allow more than 2 runs, and you lose that game. Carson Kelly has an RBI in 6 of his last 7 games, and to remind you guys, he's a catcher. You should not be doing this, and he's available in most of the fantasy leagues out there, so if you don't have Carson Kelly on your team, he could even be a good utility guy or a starting catcher. Chris Bryant, I'm gonna knock on wood before I say this, is back, ladies and gentlemen. He drove in 2 RBIs yesterday, so on the season, he is up to 5 home runs, 12 RBIs, a 174 OPS plus. The average OPS plus is 100, so he is 74% above average right now. But those RBIs were not enough as Pete Alonso, JD Davis, they tied up. Well, actually, they were enough because Jason Hayward walks it off in the final innings. I wanted to try and throw you guys off. So the Cubs are now tied with the Reds for 2nd place, as the Reds are 3-7 in their last 10 games. They started off incredibly hot along with Tyler Naquin, but both of them have kind of cooled off. Here we go, the title of today's video. If you missed the Padres versus Dodgers game, it started off with a nice little Manny sucks chant.
He had 6 hits and 2 walks in those 3 games. And played through injuries. 1 ball, 1 strike.
So Manny Machado kind of looked around and he said, all right, guys, if you want to play that game, I'm going to go ahead and drive in Fernando Tatis, who got on base, stole second, and then immediately Machado was able to drive him in. Ryan Weathers has been electric for the Padres. 1 earned run in 15 1/3 innings pitched, and he's only 21 years old, so I wanted to go ahead and shout him out. Trent Grisham hit a baseball to the moon to give the Padres a 2-0 lead. The Dodgers, they were fighting. They had back-to-back home runs from AJ Pollock and Sheldon Noisy, but Fernando Tatis Jr. was able to drive in the 3rd and final run for the Padres on a double play, as Jake Cronenworth and Tatis turned one of the best double plays I've ever seen. I mean, that ball that Jake Cronenworth stopped, I think it was hit at 105, maybe even 107 miles an hour, so it was smoked. They turned it. Tatis threw an absolute seed. I would say that that ball that Tatis threw was 98 to 100 miles an hour. He absolutely just Yeah. The Pirates beat the Tigers 4-2 yesterday. The momentum was on the side of the Pirates in the first few innings as they scored 2 runs, but then the Tigers were able to score it up with the help of Akil, the bad man, Badu, as well as Jacoby Jones. Now, Mitch Keller and Urena, they had a pretty good pitching duel, 2 earned runs apiece, but Phillip Evans, his defense was able to hold back Akil Badu from having a home run in that game, and then the Bucks offense, they clutched up. The Pirates are now officially ahead of the Cardinals. The Cardinals sit in last place in that NL Central division. What? Yesterday's Game 1 of the Yankees versus Cleveland series showed that the rest of this series is going to be an absolute clown show. It was a horrible first inning as Domingo Germán forgot what planet he was on, had no idea what he was doing, so Cleveland, they put up 3 runs in the first inning, but Domingo was able to settle down. He finishes that start with 6 innings, only 2 earned runs. As Gleyber woke up, unfortunately, that's my fault. I will take the L. City of Cleveland is 100% my fault. I woke up Gleyber, maybe even Rougned Odor, and the rest of the Yankees, and this is exactly what New York needed. They needed Gleyber, even if it was just 3 singles. They needed him to clutch up, and also for the other members of the squad to actually contribute, because Aaron Judge got absolutely nothing to hit because the rest of that lineup is in a slump. So if Aaron Judge is getting nothing to hit and Giancarlo Stanton isn't even in the lineup, I mean, what hope do you have to score runs? You have to depend on Gleyber Torres, and that's exactly what happened yesterday. The Mariners versus Red Sox was pretty exciting. Rafael Devers and Hunter Renfroe driving 2 RBIs for the Red Sox, and then Ty France answers back with 2 RBIs of his own. Now, they both score 1 more run, so this has to go to extras, and the Mariners absolutely erupt. Mitch Haniger now has 5 home runs, 17 RBIs, and a 173 OPS plus on the season. Yo, they don't even have to call up Julio Rodriguez or Jared Kelenic right now. Trammell is playing pretty decent. You have Mitch Haniger, Kyle Lewis is back. The Mariners, without those guys, are still pretty good. They are now tied for the best record in the American League. My hat's off to them. And then last but not least, we saw the bunny rabbit at the Giants game. Let's go ahead and talk about the box score. We have Ruff and Kurt Casale driving in the game's only runs, as Aaron Sanchez is having a fantastic, very under-the-radar season. Shuts out the Marlins over 5 innings and lowered his ERA to 1.83 on the season. And if we're talking about Kurt Casale, not only did he drive in an RBI, that was his 5th straight shutout that he caught. So in terms of just being a sheriff on the diamond and controlling the pace and allowing his pitchers to relax because he's going to call the right pitches, Kurt Casale might be the #1 guy. 5 consecutive shutouts. I give all the credit to him, as well as the pitcher staff. I'll say that too. All right, everyone. Well, that does it for today's MLB recap. There were only a few games yesterday, so that is going to do it. Let's go ahead and end today's video with this day in MLB history. One of the most infamous moments in MLB history. Fernando Tatis Sr., 2 grand slams in 1 inning. Nuts.
Fastball, and it's a grand slam. Woo! We see who powered that one. The runners go 3-2 to T. Swing and a long one. There it is, folks. Baseball history. 3rd inning, a hanging slider, and the fans here at Dodger Stadium.
Yeah. Dude, I thought it was a slider, dude.
Oh, really?
Dude, I can't pick up the ball here, though.